Okay. We are back. We're back. Oh my God. I'm so sorry, everybody. I don't know why Rumble, you guys need to get it together, people. Like, we have too many issues with the Rumble stream, and it's sad because Rumble is so fun to use. You know? So anyway, all right. Just in case you missed, I'm not going to do the whole monologue again. But we have more videos. So what's a cult? Charlie's thought on the left. Are leftists a cult? Who do Freemasons worship? What's up with the Watchtower Society? What does Billy Carson think of Jehovah's Witnesses? Herd mentality. Revelation of the Luciferian method. Modern Bible is deceptive. Candace on the Schofield Bible. Or is it Schofield Bible? Schofield or Schofield Bible? Because you have... Okay. So we're going to go down that rabbit hole. So, got more videos added, and we're just going to get into it, and we're going to start this first video again, and I won't repeat all of my dialogue for it, but, just welcome back,
Six
friends.
signs someone is in a cult from a licensed therapist. Number 1, the leader is never questioned. Even when the leader causes real harm, they rationalize it. They say things like, they probably had good motives. It's no longer about what is right or logical. It's about staying loyal no matter what.
So this is kind of like the way, unfortunately, as much as I love Donald Trump, this is how he treated Marjorie Taylor Greene, who had a very valid point to her reasons for what she did. I don't like how she did it. I think that you should air your grievances with daddy behind closed doors and not publicly. But, Trump's a little bit like that. He expects utter loyalty always, forever, even if you disagree with him. But I love Trump. But I'll never be somebody that is going to just blindly agree with anyone, because nobody is always correct.
Number 2, there's an us versus them mentality.
Sorry.
The group is good. Everyone else is wrong, toxic, or lost. There's no in between. You're either with them or against them. And if you're against them, you are the enemy. Number 3, confirmation bias runs deep. They only trust sources that reinforce what they already believe. Anything that challenges the group is ignored.
Right. So you see that with the trans group. You see that with what these white, rich, liberal politicians are cramming down their constituents' throats, about how evil the white man is. And now you have an entire population that's acting even more racist than what they accuse other people of being because of cult mentality.
Or labeled as evil. They're not thinking critically. They are reinforcing a narrative. Number 4, isolation. They start cutting off people who care about them. Friends become distractions. Family becomes a threat. They begin to place the group above their own family.
Right, and y'all heard my commentary before we had to restart the feed on that with the whole trans thing. Hey, arch enemy, how you doing over in Rumble? And Florida Backwater says, hey, good evening. Hope you had a great Christmas. Jumping in real quick. Can't stay long. Got an in-law over. Looking good as always. And hope you have a great one. Thanks, Backwater. Good to see ya. And the mayor says they agree. And welcome Carlos and Therm.
Trusting the group's approval more than the people who've known them their whole lives. Number 5, fear-based control. They're not staying because they're thriving. They are staying because they're scared. They've been told if they leave, they'll be punished, abandoned, or destroyed. Fear becomes the glue holding everything together. Number 6.
That's like, there's actually a list of the FBI website. The FBI has it on their website. It's actually 10 qualifiers to know if you're in a cult. He's going over 6 of the most obvious. Let me back up this last. Okay, one second. Hi, Crazy Rose Vampire. Ooh, I love your name. Goddess. Ooh, that's quite a compliment. You'll find out real quick. I will fall short of that one.
Destroyed. Fear becomes the glue holding everything together. Number 6.
Fear. That was what I wanted to comment on. Fear. So fear, obligation, and guilt is the formula for emotional blackmail that a cult uses on you. And it's in that order. So fear, they use your soul as the carrot dangling in front of you. Obligation to, follow the doctrine, whether it's secular, religious, whatever. And then the guilt, to where if you don't comply, this is what's going to happen.
They have no idea they're in a cult. They think they've found the truth, but their thoughts, words, and choices have been shaped without them realizing, and their ego doesn't want to admit they've been brainwashed. 6 signs someone is in a cult from a licensed therapist.
Can we fix the view of the wide shot because it's because it can cut off a little bit of my hair, because I'm more of my body is cut off like this. So let's go when he's done with that. Yeah, that's fine, because I usually end up over here. Let's go over to the browser. Hey, JJ Rice and Kronk. I haven't seen you in a second. Joe King. Any of my Rumble people, I cannot see who's there and chilling with me until you guys say something. So please say hi to me in the chat. So let's look at the FBI, right? FBI, what is a cult? Yeah, I'm the typo queen, so bear with me. Let's see if they still have it up, because it's been some years. Search the FBI. It's been some years since I have found this, but it looks like they might have taken it down. That's really interesting. No, those are on Violent True Believers. So where is DOI? That's really strange. They don't have it up anymore. Let me put this FBI 10 criteria for cult. Oh my gosh, so AI is saying they don't have it. They took it down. So you go off. That's disappointing. All right. Well, Crazy Rose. My screen name is from Vampire the Masquerade. I love everything vampire. I don't know. I'm obsessed. And it's really kind of funny. All my friends from growing up, they tell me I'm a vampire. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but in my mind, we'll go with it's a good thing. All right. So Charlie's thoughts on the left. Let's hear.
A cult would probably convince people to do something that would be against their humanity. Would you agree?
Yes.
A cult would probably get people to do something that they know is wrong, even though they think they should do something is right.
Like remove their children's genitals, or give them a litter box to pee in, things like that.
Maybe, because some of these people are brainwashed into believing certain things that
For
they
sure.
don't actually agree with because
okay.
they don't have the proper information
Got
on
it.
it.
So, for example, would you agree that when the Democrats sat during the State of the Union address to not applaud a kid with brain cancer, that is cult-like behavior?
Yes.
Because their leader told
Right.
them not to do it.
Right. Yep.
Well, who told them not to?
Exactly. I mean, their leadership told
So
them.
who's their leader? If they're
Well,
a cult,
Chuck
then who's their
Schumer
leader?
or Hakeem
Nancy Pelosi is the one that fucking said that, I think.
Jeffries, they had strict orders, do not stand and applaud for anything Trump does. They told us this.
Yes.
That's a cult. There's this little Jehovah's Witness video. Man. All right.
And so then Trump says, hey, can we just have a moment of non-political? Here's DJ Daniel. He's dying of brain cancer. He's now a ceremonial member of the Secret Service. And every Democrat sat with their arms crossed, not even being able to show the humanity mean, that's a cult. A cult would probably convince people to do something that would be against their humanity. Would you agree?
Yes.
A cult would probably get
There's
people
a
to
video from my old religion that I was part of, the Jehovah's Witnesses, that is really, really on this exact thing that he's talking about, like the shunning and the like pulling themselves away from. I'll explain it when we pull it up later. But yeah. So when you see people that will withhold kindness when they need to be kind, you can 100% bet that they have a fear of ostracism, a fear of how they're going to be treated more than doing the right thing. And that is definitely something that occurred when I was growing up in the cult that I was in. I mean, if you were on the side of disfellowship from that church, if you were on the side of the road trying to call your parents, like flat tire, pouring rain, doesn't matter, they won't answer the phone. All right, so let's get into the next video. Are leftists a cult?
I think people do not realize that people are not your friends if they're not going to be your friends if you think differently. Sorry, but that is a cult. If you don't have that group thought, then you were ousted. I mean, you take a look at the documentaries Going Clear with Scientology, right? And people have like lost their families and their friends. Like that is not something that brings people together.
We had touched on that before, and that's what they do. Your family doesn't support you. Oh, they're voting for Trump. Don't talk to them. They don't deserve to see you, to be with you. They want you to isolate and cut off everyone in your life just because of their political views.
I think people do not realize that people are not your friends if they're not going to be your friends if you think differently. Sorry, but
it's just like you saw that with COVID too. If you said, hey, this shot has like just been rushed, even when Trump was pushing the shot, a lot of us were like, no. Just because Trump was our president, doesn't mean we were like, okay, let's take the jab. Okay, Trump says it's safe. No, there were tons of us. That's how you know they're like, it's the same people who didn't want to take the vaccine who are questioning Charlie's death. And it's the same people who were on the conservative movement that took the jab that are believing the entire FBI narrative. So you see what I'm saying? There's like a theme where there are people who cannot distinguish the difference between there's people who talk out of both sides of their mouth. There is, you have to do what is safe for you, but also you can't put other people at risk. And so with the jab, it was like, if you don't get it, you're an evil person because you're putting other people at risk. So there's like right there's the guilt out part of the formula out of the fog. So it was just, here's the fear. We have a deadly virus. It's going to kill you if you don't take the shot. Herd immunity needs to be established by this shot. So you are obligated to get this shot. And if you don't get this shot, we are going to shame you if you're not wearing a mask. We're going to harass you. We're going to basically make your entire existence, we're going to make sure you feel guilty for what you did or didn't do. You know what I mean? But I also just had from coming out of a cult, I knew not to believe everything people with power tell you to do. So I immediately did research on the shot and I came to my own conclusions because I don't know. I think if you're going to be born into a cult like me and then realize that you're in one and leave it, like, I don't think there's any chance for someone like me to ever subscribe to anything cult mentality. I think what someone like me is always doing is praying to God and making spiritual decisions. And that's what we all really need to be doing when it comes down to all of this stuff, politically, educationally, musically, entertainment wise, like whatever it is, you need to be making spiritual decisions, and you need to be taking that matter up between you and God, because the cult of the world is going to pressure you to do as their God says, and you ignore the kingdom of God that's within you. So if you start tapping right back into that and start making all matters a spiritual decision, you will not fall for these cult tactics. Okay. Who do Freemasons worship? Now, you guys hear a lot about Moloch, right? The owl god. That's just one sect of Freemasonry. That's like Christianity has many sects of Christianity. There's Catholicism under one branch. Christendom is the whole entire collection of Christian religions. The Christendom. Then out of Christendom, you have Catholicism and Protestantism. And under Protestantism, you have Baptist, Lutheran, Methodist, Adventist, Mormon, Jehovah's Witness, Pentecostals, Southern Baptist. You have many sects of it. Moloch is just one. So let's talk about the next one. Who do Freemasons worship? One of them, at least.
Is Lucifer the god of the Freemasons? Yes. To join Freemasonry, you have to be invited. You can't just join it.
This is particularly the Illuminati. So Lucifer was the angel of light. His responsibility, when God said, "Let there be light," Lucifer steps in and casts the shadow. If you take it further back than the Catholic zeitgeist, let's go back even further in the old world terms. This is going to be the Archangel Metatron, who constructs reality out of light, our 3D plane out of light, known as Metatron's cube.
General sort of understanding is that this is going to be very good for business, for social interaction, for your career.
So they allow you to worship like Jehovah or Yahweh?
You can worship any god you want, but that's the only qualification, because they're going to convert whoever they are over to worshiping the great architect of the universe, Hell, Satan. AI has the same destination whether you're...
But this guy's a little wrong, though, because Lucifer and Satan are not the same. Satan was a astro god, actually. We're covering this on my Sunday subscriber only stuff. His name before it became Satan, in our era, it was Satan in the Babylonian times, and then it was Enki before that in the Sumerian times. Enki was an astro god who, alongside Yahweh, was one of our progenitors. So he's actually a little bit wrong. Luciferian Illuminatis, they understand. So my grandfather was a Freemason. They understand the difference in the astro gods versus the ethereal beings called the Elohim. So the astro gods are the Anunnaki. Then you have the Elohim, and then you have the archangels. And that goes literally that's a ranking system. So the Elohim are ethereal beings of light, and then you have the archangels who helped the divine construct the universe.
Doing it for good or evil. So it's like good magic and black magic.
Do these people know that they're advancing a system that has been prophesied as having to happen for the rise of the Antichrist, or do they not?
The fallen angels continue to tell their offspring, their descendants of their offspring, that they can still win.
Is there a hierarchy for these things like Illuminati, Freemasons?
The fairy tale concept goes back many years for when they're ready to reveal things that we would accept that more easily, and they can tell us that they told us.
He can't exactly answer the question, so he's trying to without answering it.
We just didn't understand. This fairy tale concept, both Tolkien and Lewis were talking about, is they consider the Bible a fairy tale because they both said so. I'll show you their doctrines and the fruits of their works. And
yeah, my family left the Freemasons after my grandfather. This is according to my grandfather, after he got abducted by aliens. But I'll say this: I know that the Bible has been heavily altered, heavily edited, heavily molested many times over. Yeah.
If they ever
The victor always rewrites the story. Keep that in mind. And of course, the God of the Old Testament is Yahweh. So he won the war between him and his brother Enlil. So Enlil was Yahweh, is Yahweh before he became Yahweh. Enlil and Enki, they have battled it out, and Yahweh won.
became Christian, they never recanted their writings. Many Freemasons are witches. Why? Because they're adepts, and they are leading.
But also, so are many Christians, and they just don't know it. Witch is a derogatory word, which you'll hear me make fun of, and I playfully use it and call myself that just because it's funny. But no, being spiritually connected is something that the kings wanted you to be afraid of. They tell you that a lot of stuff that even Jesus did himself is called witchcraft and looking for omens. It's because they don't want you connecting to God the way Jesus did. Of course, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So if you don't, you're literally missing the mark. And this world is designed to keep you from hearing the voice of God, you yourself. They want a figurehead in between you and God, determining, as your spokesperson, determining whether God forgives you or not, or whether your relationship with God is in good standing. That's the way this current system is set up. But Jesus came here to show that you don't need that. So a lot of this witch stuff is defilement from men with power who wanted to be able to lie to you more easily. And yeah.
The setting up of new towns. They're there to set up their legal claim to the new continent. When Moses dies, we have Satan showing up to claim his body. That's because he is initiated at Heliopolis. People confuse and conflate wrath and tribulation.
You said you don't want to live through it.
No.
Do you think you will?
Probably.
Ooh.
People have to get over the fear of death in all connotations, because if you know what is really going to happen, you won't be fearful.
Is Lucifer the god?
I think it's definitely one of those times where we all need to make sure that we are right with God. You know what I'm saying? I think that we are definitely in the last days. I think we're in the last part of the last days before whatever apocalypse or Armageddon or end times, whatever you want to call it. I think it's definitely, we might see it. And it's important to know what's going on in the world, because I think that would be a very confusing time for a lot of people. I don't think you're going to know what's aliens. I don't think you're going to know what's, if you're not awake yet. Actually, if you're not awake yet by now, it's probably too late for you. But if you are awake by the time this happens, you're going to have to know the difference between aliens, angels, and demons. It could, interdimensional being could be a mix of all three of those things. But yeah. So after my grandfather left the Freemasons, which, he's born into it, interestingly enough, a Jehovah's Witness comes knocking on my grandmother, his wife's door, which is a Freemason religion. And it's just funny what's part of your destiny, right? You think you're getting away from one thing only for it to come right back into your life. So my family was definitely destined to be a part of some sort of Freemasonry. Just couldn't go away. So interesting, right? And then here I am. Here is me. All right. So on that note, what is up? So the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society is who founded the Jehovah's Witnesses. So what's up with the Watchtower Society? Let's see.
So consequently, Jehovah's Witnesses, like most cults, and they are, and incidentally, they are referred to as York Rite cults in Masonry. York Rite cults. This is why the Watchtower Society moved to New York. New York is the old York.
Interestingly, that building right there, that Watchtower building that you see, was sold just before Trump took office the first time. And the Trumps bought that building. Eric Trump bought that building and turned it into condos. is what he did.
York, England, and the presence of the Knights Templars of Old York, England, moved into America and called it New York. And they called New York the Empire State. Why? Because it's the state of the New York Rite Masonic Empire coming out of York, England, and establishing their filthy, dirty system in our beloved country in New York. There is nothing dirtier or filthier on the earth, in my present opinion, than New York City. It's only topped by the Vatican. Somebody needs to do their homework. Charles Taze Russell was financed out of London, England. The money was coming out.
So that pyramid that you saw a second ago, that is at his grave. What do pyramids do? Tesla told you what a pyramid does, right? It amplifies the energy, focalizes where it's sitting on top of the earth is a strategic place. And the pyramid, okay, an obelisk does the same thing, but pyramid's much more stronger because of the shape being more sloped, right? It builds energy up to a focal point and then beams a beam of energy up. Okay. So the pyramids in Egypt, they're now realizing weren't like for tombs, for kings, that they were more like something that produces energy, possibly to help the astro gods go back to their home planet. That gravestone that is over him, he has a regular gravestone and then the pyramid thing. I think that he was trying to send his soul somewhere. That's been the rumor. And then lately, you know, what's been coming out about the pyramids, it lines up with this rumor I heard, you know, from many years ago about his grave. And then this, what you're seeing on the screen now, is literally the brand new headquarters, not brand new, the headquarters. This is the new headquarters after that watchtower building previously in the photos in New York. This is in Pennsylvania. Sorry. This one's in Denmark. However, there's one in the US that is shaped exactly like this one from an aerial shot. So it is literally the US headquarters, I believe, looks like this. This is the one in Denmark. Does the U.S. headquarters look like this? No. But there is one in the U.S. that like has a shape like this. And anyway, so it's pretty freaking obvious when you're looking at it. It's in your face. And there's a code with any, I don't like to say satanic religion because it's really not satanic. They're worshiping like Moloch and Baal and these other deities. They have to put it in plain sight what they're going to do to you. And that is like the moral loophole. Because with that loophole, you're consenting. So like this is one of those things that they put right in plain sight for you to find so that you're consenting. And also it's just part of the beliefs. I mean, it's, you know, idolistic. They have their idols, so this is how they subtly place their idols without it being completely in your face, because idol worship is wrong according to the Bible. So according to Jesus. And so that's what they do.
Of MI5 and MI6, the Mormon Church, Seventh-day Adventist, the Worldwide Church of God, all of these are referred to as York Rite cults, financed.
Yes, because so Charles Taze Russell, the founder of Jehovah's Witnesses, was an Adventist before that. He didn't like the Adventist religion. He started Jehovah's Witness religion. His colleague, I forgot her name, she started the Seventh-day Adventist. They were colleagues. They were both Adventists before.
Organized, directed.
This guy's kind of not doing a good job of laying this out. He's really speaking in really high level terms, in my opinion, and kind of skipping through a lot of what makes sense. But if you go backwards in time and figure out where the Adventist religion was birthed out of, you can kind of follow the path of Masonry.
London. So consequently, Jehovah's Witnesses, like most cults,
okay, so that's the end. Reality Pocket says, if I don't feel a spiritual connection, if If I don't feel a spiritual connection, I will keep them in my life, but at a distance to see what becomes of them and hope there becomes one. Very few are still in my life. It's really hard to stay close to people who aren't awake yet. You know, you feel like almost everything you say, it's hard to participate in their delusions. And you feel like almost every turn you take, it's possible that, you know, you're going to threaten their belief system, and then you end up in like an argument with these people. And that's like the tough part of I would just let it load, of trying to stay close with people who are still in said cult. But let's hear what Billy Carson thinks about the Jehovah's Witnesses. Huh? Okay, so this one's going to be more, y'all hear me talk about the Anunnaki and the Elohim and the, you know, the structure of the universe and like how we got here. And on my Sunday subscriber shows, that's what it's on. Billy Carson we're going to show this next video. He's going to he's going to go into that a little bit more. So what does he think of them?
The Jehovah's Witness. Sometimes I go walking down the beach in Fort Lauderdale, and from time to time, and I walk the beach, and from time to time, there's zealots out there. You know, the people. So
they're not zealots. We are, I say we. It's such a thing that keeps getting stuck in my head, and I've been out of this thing for, how old is my daughter? 11 years. They are obligated to go out in public, stand with their booth, with all the, you know, propaganda. None of them want to be out there. No, they used to go to door to door and knock on doors. And it is like literally the most grueling thing. I've had dogs sicked on me, guns pulled on us, knives, like crazy people. They don't want you there. And so now what they do is they stand on corners
with the megaphones and everything else, and the Bible thumpers that are out there with the books trying to stop you to reel you in and try to get you to using dogma to try to get you to commit to their belief system, and you know, so they can bring more money into that temple that they're part of. It's really come down to it. They don't realize that's what they're doing, but it's all about recruiting money. It's all about obtaining funding for the business.
Yes.
And so they're,
because in reality, that religion is a publishing company and a real estate company. Absolutely.
The grunt workers of the business. They don't really understand exactly what they're doing. They think that they're doing it for the greater good, but what they're doing is they're doing it for the pockets of.
But here's the thing, and remember the formula: fear, obligation, and guilt. This is how they deploy the fog onto you. They tell you if you do not go out on your only free days from work and preach and bring the truth, quote unquote, the good news to the unbelievers, you are guilty, blood guilty. So when Armageddon comes, if you didn't participate, you will be held accountable by God for whoever didn't have the opportunity to hear the truth before Armageddon came to be saved. So this is why they go out and they do this, and they don't want to. They do it because they believe that they will be blood guilty, which is why I'm always calm and kind to them, because I've been in their shoes and I know in reality that they don't want to be doing this. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, some do. There are a few that are like in a special category called pioneers. And these pioneers don't have secular jobs. They full-time go door to door. Well, they used to go door to door, but they full-time stand on corners preaching, and their goal is to gain as many home Bible studies as they can. And all month long, they're teaching their version of the Bible and logging those hours. And you have to report how many hours you were preaching.
Somebody or some bodies at the very top. And so one day I was walking down the beach and, you know, the Jehovah's Witnesses were out there, and the lady stops me. Usually I just continued. I said, not today. And I just keep walking. But this time I just stopped, right? This one particular time. And the lady starts asking me, you know, have you accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior and so forth and so on. I said, no.
No, we don't. I keep saying we. Oh, my God. It is literally, you see the power of a cult. That's what I'm telling you. Like, this language, I have not stepped foot in a place at a Kingdom Hall in 11 years. They don't ask you, have you accepted Jesus as your Lord and Savior? They don't ask that. That's such a, we call it world. Oh my God. Why am I saying we? I haven't talked about the Jehovah's Witnesses. I call them J-dubs in such a long time in this depth. I don't know why I'm saying that, but it's a worldly thing to say, and it doesn't set you apart as a Jehovah's Witness if you use the lingo of common Christians. So they have their own lingo. That's another sign of a cult. So cults can be secular. Think like Amway, Quick Star. They can Mary Kay, Avon. They can be from the educational system. So like Harvard, Yale, all those universities are part of a little cult, and it can be religious. So it doesn't have to just be a religious cult. There are other forms of cults. It's anything that if you don't subscribe to the belief system, you will be ostracized. You will be punished. You can't question the leadership. You can't question the doctrine. There's no support of free thinking, free thought, open dialogue. It is study material. This method works. Do not deviate.
She said, why not? I said, because I'm already God. I'm already divine. Divine runs through every single atom inside of it, makes up my entire body. And my consciousness comes already from higher dimensions, which what you might call heaven. And the lady's eyes get all big and bugged out and everything.
That's
and
something
so
I would have
wants
said
to
too.
sell me and everything. So she starts giving me her sales pitch for the Jehovah's Witness. And I said to her, I said, well,
As
I
a
said,
Jehovah's
I don't want to interrupt
Witness,
you, ma'am. I don't
they
want to be
forget
rude.
the S.
But if you can answer a few questions about your religion, then I'll listen to everything you have to say. And so I said to her, when was the Watchtower Society formed? When was it formed? What year? What year was it formed? And she was.
They never tell you that. You have to go on the internet and learn that. But they tell you not to go on the internet and research anything about the Jehovah's Witnesses, because if you do, you will be accessing demonic material, that all material in any library or any sort of categorized collection of information is been touched by the devil if you're not reading it from their libraries. And they'll never tell you when it was formed, because if it's the truth and the one true religion, there is no date in which it formed. It is just that we have carried on the truth since Adam and Eve. Like literally, it's so ridiculous.
It was like, what year was it formed? I said, yeah.
What's up, Frank and Vic? Also the mayor. I'm going to come back to you guys' comments. I know I see you guys. The chat's moving in there. I'm coming.
Year was the Watchtower Society formed? The original one before it got incorporated. She didn't know the answer.
Nope.
I said, wow, that was 1881. That was Zion's Watchtower Tract Society. And they were just.
And they are Zionists, by the way. New World. Their Bible says the New World translation of the Holy Scriptures. They are Masonic population reduction, evangelical doomsday Christians.
Distributing these religious tracts, like you're handing out your information now, these watchtowers, the same exact thing, but in the 1800s. She was like, oh, wow, really? I said, yeah, you didn't know that, did you? But I said, how long have you been doing this? All my life, she said. She was born into.
They never tell you this stuff.
I said, you've been into this your entire life and you didn't know that? She goes, no. I said, when did they formally incorporate? What year?
Yes, Mayor. Isn't it funny how it's always the Zionists that are pushing population reduction in some form or another? Whether it's Bill Gates, whether it's Kamala, Obama said it at a ball dinner in the White House on camera that they just released with COVID. They made the entire world participate in the largest scientific study. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. They put it right in our faces. But it is. It's always Zionists. Funny, right?
In what state? She goes, I'm sorry, I don't know that either. I said, wow. Well, that was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and that was in 1884. And that's when the watch.
I just got corrected. It was a rumor in the Jehovah's Witnesses that it was Eric Trump who bought the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, but it's not. It's Trump's. We just looked it up. It's Trump's Jew son-in-law bought the the Watchtower Bible and Tract buildings that you saw in that other video.
Tower Society actually formally incorporated. And I said, ma'am, you have to understand, you're out here preaching this to people and trying to get people to join your, religious system. And you don't really even totally understand exactly what you're talking about, because you haven't done any research to figure out exactly where the origins or the start of this come from.
Because if you do that, you will get publicly marked from the stage in the Kingdom Hall, in the congregation you go to. They will make you look like you are spiritually weak, so publicly, so it makes all the other church members afraid to associate with you, so you don't assist in their waking up.
And that's just the beginning stages of it. I mean, the information that you guys are talking about is coming out of even more ancient texts. She was completely flabbergasted, didn't have any idea or answer or whatever. And it was just a shame to see that somebody is believing that what they're doing is going to lead them to complete immortality and complete salvation. And in true reality, it's just leading them into a dirty, dark dungeon.
But they don't believe that it'll lead them into immortality. What they believe is that 144,000 people gain immortality by becoming kings and priests in heaven alongside Jesus Christ. Hey, Data. What they believe is that the rest of the, righteous people who are the chosen people after Armageddon will live through Armageddon, and those who have died, since the wages of sin is death, will be resurrected and live as part of the great crowd, which the quote unquote no man will be able to number according to the Bible. And that you don't have immortality, like you still are mortal, because like Adam and Eve, once they sinned, they became they inherited death, right? So if you're part of the great crowd, they believe that you gain perfection like Adam and Eve had in the Garden of Eden, but that you still have free will, so you still have the risk of re-entering, bringing sin back into the world. So then they believe that after Armageddon, after the earth has been restored to paradise, all these people have been resurrected from the dead, that after 1,000 years of that, Satan will be re-released to now pick through that group of faithful, so that God can sift through the wheat and find the ultra faithful. And then at that point, Satan would be destroyed. So they don't really believe in immortality for all. They believe that you gain everlasting life, not immortality, which is a distinct difference. And they go back to using Adam and Eve as the example. They had everlasting life before they sinned. But that only God and the angels are immortal.
Consciousness prison. And so that's what we have to be careful of with these religious dogmas and people that become zealots. So let's take a look at this. She did know the name of Charles Taze Russell. So that was okay. At least she did know that. That's the guy who basically was the president of the Watchtower Society in 1884 to 1916. And he was the founder of the Bible student movement. A lot of the works that this guy did really became the foundation of Jehovah's Witnesses. He didn't create Jehovah's Witnesses. That's not really how it happened. But he created the foundation. And from that foundation, others came after him, and it evolved into.
Yes. So they were forced to become a corporate entity, which is when it became the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. And then in 1914, it became the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society is the publishing company. The religion got the name Jehovah's Witnesses as like a moniker in the early 1900s.
To the Jehovah's Witness sect. But Pastor Russell was an American Christian restorationist minister from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the founder of what is now known as the Bible student movement after his death, and Jehovah's Witnesses and numerous independent Bible student groups developed from his base. They actually started from his work. His work catapulted a couple of different religions that popped out. A lot of them, the other ones, they kind of faded out, but Jehovah's Witnesses, they actually stuck. And the reason why they stuck is because they mastered how to indoctrinate people through fear. And those who maintained fellowship with the Watchtower Society after Russell's death adopted the name Jehovah's Witnesses in 1931. So Jehovah's Witness, that actual term, that name, that actual religion officially became that title and that name in 1931. Before then, it wasn't. But they're working off of the
that
basis
date's
of
a little
this
bit
guy
off,
here,
but it
Charles
doesn't really matter.
Taze Russell. Now, what's interesting is they took the Bible and they rewrote it and edited it and flipped it around and remixed things around to suit
No, Frank, I was talking to someone offset, so I had my mic muted.
their own benefit and their own needs and what they want to accomplish and what their agenda was. And so they call it the New World Transliteration or New World's Translation, depending on which book you have in your hand, of the Holy Scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
And the witnesses have their own translation of the Bible. So they have completely edited this thing. And
there's 65 edits that are different from the King James Version. The King James Version has many edits. We could go down the list. They're not the only ones that change the Bible to fit their doctrine. Almost every single one of them have. And the Jehovah's Witnesses were actually taken to court over the fact that it said Holy Bible on the outside because of those edits, and court established the fact that they needed to take the word Bible off because it had so many major edits. They had to write Holy Scriptures because Scriptures can be for any belief system, pagan or Christian.
Move words around and move phrases around and change things in and out. It doesn't match some of the original canonized versions of the Bible, which is not a big surprise because the Sinai Bible is different from the King James Bible and so forth and so on. The Ethiopian Bible is different from the other two. And so I guess these people said, look, everybody else did it. We're going to remix it too. Let's go ahead and remix this thing. So they remixed the Bible, right? To set it up to where it's a complete neuroscientific book, basically predicated on hitting people that are susceptible to fanaticism.
Hey, it's 11:11. Make a wish.
And milking them dry for all of their energy and their money. And that's pretty much what they did. And so the New World Holy Translation of the Holy Scriptures is also referred to in the New Testament as the Christian Greek Scriptures. Mm-hmm. And they call the Old.
So that's not inaccurate. It's just being really specific about what the New Testament is. They are Christian because Jesus did away with the Jewish law and said you are to follow the law of love, a principled law of love, and they were written in Greek.
Old Testament, the Hebrew Scriptures. They really did a lot of incredible.
So yes, the Old Testament they refer to as the Hebrew Scriptures. That's not inaccurate.
Tweaking of this book to get it to where they have it right now today. So what's their belief system, their fundamental belief systems? So this is the Jehovah's Witnesses Bible. Witnesses hold a number of traditional Christian views, but also many that are unique only to them. They affirm that God, aka Jehovah, and we're going to talk about who this Jehovah really is in a minute. We're going to get into Jehovah
Yahweh.
really deep.
Yeah, Yahweh, who was earlier or at earliest point in human history, Enlil.
Is the Most High. Okay, so they're saying that Jehovah is the Most High. Jehovah is everything. Jehovah is God. He's the creator of everything, creator of the heavens and earth. Again, another attribution to a gender as well, by the way. They always call Jehovah a he, a him, a male. Okay? That's always a dead giveaway when somebody's calling a spiritual being by a gender.
Yeah.
I don't want to be involved in it. Jesus Christ is God's agent. He's an agent for God. He's an agent, like Agent Smith.
No, they believe he's the Son of God, not an agent for God. They don't believe that he is God, just that he is the Son of God. Then they don't believe in the Trinity. They believe in God, Jehovah, as in Jehovah is the divine. Jesus is his son, the human manifestation of an ethereal being having to be in human form, capable of sin, living a perfect life without sin to then die, and that the Holy Spirit is not the Holy Ghost, it's the Holy Spirit, as it is God's active force. I'm not going to squabble with that last one too much because spirit, force, same difference to me.
Matrix, he's an agent now. Through whom sinful humans, so you're sinful. You're right away, you're already bad. You're bad immediately you're born bad.
Yes,
through which
they believe that.
Sinful humans can be reconciled to God.
By compendium of the Emerald Tablets by...
Oh, Daniel says a woman's love is God. Ooh, I like you. What is that noise? Oh.
Billy Carson.
Yeah, okay. So, next one. Herd mentality. Let me look over here in the chat while he's doing that. So, let's see. Daniel says, I'm gonna smoke, drink, gamble, and repent my way to success. Okay, well, whatever floats your boat, Daniel. And then AR-15 says, beat you to it, Daniel. Yes, there are so many interpretations to the Bible. It's kind of crazy, which is why you guys hear me talk so much about getting away from this idea of religion. That is a tool used to control you. Spirituality is where it's at. That is how you know that is how you know the voice of God. That is how you can be a free agent. That is how you can find yourself being able to act in a way that doesn't compromise your principles. All right. Let's look at the herd mentality of cults as shown in sheep.
Why is this flock of sheep circling around the burning tree? This man tricks the leader sheep with food, and all the sheep follow their leader. Watch the full video to see what happens next.
Okay, so he's running faster to connect the ends, and now they are in a death spiral. Look at them jumping around cheering.
These sheep will not stop until someone stops them. Why is this flock of sheep circling around the burning tree?
You know, this is the caption. Notice how the shepherd cleverly baits the sheep with food, coaxing them to walk into circles around a bonfire. Eventually, the shepherd leaves, yet the sheep continue endlessly on their own. They follow the initial guidance without questioning the leaders, without awareness. That's like what happened. That's the key part. Without awareness. So one thing I realized that really assists in people falling for cult tactics is they prey on those who are hopeless, those who have some kind of scenario in their life, those who are vulnerable, because they're so desperate to find happiness that they literally will cling on to these like promises of healing and grandeur. They tend to lack the ability to think critically, and they latch on to the charisma of whoever's standing in front of them, which this person is trained on how to bring people in. But yeah, they're always the most psychologically vulnerable, economically vulnerable, some scenario where you feel like you have no out. Those are the people that come into cults the quickest. Let's go to the Sheffield Bible and then the last one, because my headache is really starting to pick up. Candace on the Schofield Bible. Schofield and Schofield. I think it's Schofield. I don't think she has the spelling right, but I think it's Schofield Bible.
This really stems from the Schofield Bible, the heresy of the Schofield Bible. Schofield himself was an absolute fraud who got funded and was overseas and alleges that he wrote all of these notes in the Bible and is telling people how to read their Bibles. The first time annotations were put underneath the passages. So this is what Genesis says, and this is what it means. And this is how this heresy arrived in America. Then somehow this guy is able to, it becomes the most printed book, and Oxford Press gets behind it because like a random pastor, you get the idea here. It was very much a funded effort to have Christians misunderstand the Bible. And Ted Cruz is one of these Christians. And so he says this is number one reason that he supports what they're doing. So he is willing to support the criminality of Benjamin Netanyahu because he's just in the land of Israel. He's saying it's the nation state of Israel. By that argument, if suddenly the current Israelis in Israel all left and we put in a bunch of Iranians, then he would say the same thing because it's a place, right? So Ted Cruz would say, my Bible commands me, I will be blessed, but I bless those who bless Israel. He's talking about a place, a physical place, and anybody could be in there and he would back it. It's an absolute nonsense for him to suggest this. And like I said, it's also a theological disaster. And it's so important for people to learn the history, the true history of the Schofield Bible and this sort of modern dispensationalist belief, which has been so toxic to our foreign policy and has been pushed in large part. It's even the hyphening of Judeo-Christian values. I'm a Christian. I am not, I'm not Jewish. I am a Christian. My values are Christian. And frankly, you should believe that a country which has involved itself as Israel has in blackmail, in murder, in bombing children, in murdering and starving women and children to get what it wants, the deception. And I mean, you could talk about it on a widespread level. You could talk about it on a historical level. You could talk about it on a molecular or a personal level. It is like a requirement to support Zionism. You just have to lie. You have to lie like all the time. I mean, this idea that I'm funded by Qatar. Not a shred of proof. It's completely false. It is untrue. And they say it every day because they have no other arguments. All they have to do is keep hoping that people like Senator Ted Cruz, especially if they're being funded by AIPAC, will completely misinterpret the Genesis and believe that no matter what, they have to support the policies of Bibi Netanyahu, which not even the Israelis support, right? They don't even support him. They were protesting against him in war times. This really...
So... here's the thing. I was looking at the Talmud, so y'all see that I have been going over the Talmud. Okay. I realized why the Zionist movement is very culty, because there are something called Talmudic Jews. And that is who pushes the narratives that she was just discussing. And then I realized this. So here in the biography, Joseph Barclay, okay, he was born in 1805. He's particularly recognized for his work in biblical studies. This is the person who put together the Talmud. The Talmud, okay? It says that he pursued studies in theology, deeply involved in Christian scholarly activities, best known for his in-depth works on the Bible, including the New Testament. His scholarship was rooted in a strong desire to bridge historical understanding and theological principles. Bridge historical understanding. And then it goes on to state that he received a scholarship. So the credit he's recognized for, especially in biblical studies, is his contribution to our understanding of the New Testament and its historical context, which he received a scholarship for with a strong desire to bridge historical understanding theological. So he's received money. Okay. So he not only assembled the Talmud, but significantly contributed to it and heavily influenced the view of early Christians, best known for his works titled The Talmud in Hebraica and other Jewish rabbinic literature, where he contrasted Jewish texts against Christianity, friends. So the author self-proclaims in the Talmud that his work on the Talmud is groundbreaking. And the book claims that Barclay's writing remains important in the field of biblical Jewish Christian studies. And that's why politicians and influencer pastors keep saying Christians must support Israel by its how that goes hand in hand with Christianity. That's why there's a large movement of 19th century scholars who sought to understand the connection between Judaism and Christianity. So this is the sign of a cult. Okay? The cult has spread from Israel to our politics via the Talmud. Just throwing that out here. All right. Let's go into our next video. This is the last one. The Schofield Bible rabbit hole. I've got to have a shorter show tonight because my head has been pounding. So, yeah, I know. Here we go.
Know about the Schofield Bible? Oh boy, here's a rabbit hole for you. Here's a rabbit hole for all of us. In the early 1900s, right around when the Federal Reserve was founded and the Balfour Declaration happened, right at that exact same time, the Rothschild family hired this dude, this pastor in the Deep South. He made a new version of the Bible called the Schofield Bible. He wrote this new Bible that has all these new interpretations of the text. So they didn't.
The Schofield Bible is the very first study Bible with like all of the reference material and tabs and like the red letters and all that stuff to like guide you on what parts of the Bible to connect to other parts.
With Jewish influence.
Yes, literally, that's where Judeo-Christianity kind of came from. And the idea that Israel is this modern Israel thing is the Israel of the Bible. It came from that Bible. And the Schofield Bible was funded by the Rothschild family. And then it was pushed because they owned the publisher that publishes like all the books. I think it was Oxford Press. And so they had the deals that they could make to get that Bible into all the mega churches across whole denominations of Christianity. And so that was when Christianity got kind of Jewified. Do you guys know about the Schofield Bible?
That's not really just when. I mean, we just went over it in the Talmud. He probably has never seen the Talmud because most people haven't. It actually started in 1878. That's when it actually started. And the proof is right here in the Talmud with that date. Just saying. Just saying. It's a lot to decode. It's taken me 15 years of like really sorting through, like it's like a million piece puzzle, and you just got to start by grouping things up and doing smaller portions at a time and then stepping back and then putting the whole thing together. But and then there's David Harris Jr. coming in. Just so you know, David Harris Jr., he is a Israel supporter through and through. He says Jesus was born in Bethlehem, a city in Israel. Judeo-Christian doesn't come from the Schofield Bible. It comes from the fact, he put in all caps, that Jesus, Yeshua, walked. I don't know why you put Yeshua in parentheses, because literally any name can have a Hebrew translation. Walked this earth as a Jew and lived according to Jewish traditions, but also came to fulfill every Jewish prophecy about the Messiah in order to allow us Gentiles. So what? And what? What does that prove, David Harris Jr.? Fucking jack shit nothing. It proves that what? So we need to accept Judas too? Like, he was one of Jesus' brothers who, like, the Jews, I don't understand what you're saying. Oh, the Jews prophesied all this stuff about Jesus, so we have to support them. No, we don't. That's like saying, the enemy predicted something that happened. And it's just fucking dumb. It's so dumb. That's not a qualifying way to... That's not a critical thinking way to come to the conclusion that you should support Israel. That because Jesus was nationality a Jew, he wasn't ethnically. He was Palestinian ethnically. No one wants to talk about that. But yes, he was born in Bethlehem. And yes, he may have had customs to follow as a Jew, as did everyone, because Jewish law was the custom of the land. But that was what he came to separate out, was what traditions were not rooted in anything godly and what to follow. So this whole point that he's talking on is like literally just moot to me. So what? That's like saying just because Bill Gates is American, I need to support his initiative to reduce population. It doesn't fucking make any sense. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at what you're saying in the chat, Dana. You're good. No worries. All right. So I just urge all of you to, I mean, we talk about politics so much, but we don't really understand why politics has gotten the way it's gotten, why we have these, like, this cult behavior out of our population, out of our culture, which interesting root word of culture is cult, right? So what's the spiritual tie? I mean, I've said it in the last several shows, like everything is a spiritual battle. This all goes back to what is happening spiritually. The Bible talks about it. There is a fight for our souls, and it's really easy to get distracted and think you're doing the right thing because everyone's patting you on the back. But like Jesus said, that if you do as I do, if you follow me perfectly, you will be treated as I am treated. You will be shunned. And that's how you know you are breaking free from the cult. So before production walks away, I am going to go ahead and say good night to all of you guys. Thank you for hanging with me. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. I'm not sure if I will be back tomorrow. I still feel like I need to catch up from the holidays. But considering maybe not doing a live until after New Year's Day, we'll see. All right. I'm not going to do a fan of the day tonight. So sorry. I didn't have a chance to really interact with you guys on this show. This show felt a little rushed, but anyway, I hope you guys have a good night and I will see you soon. I bid you adieu.